Hi, um, my name's Nick Johnson. I started homeschooling in grade 7, I think. And it was a pretty natural decision for me. My sister was kind of the reason we started. We'd just recently been introduced to the idea of homeschooling. Some friends moved who were doing it. We'd never heard of it before. And my sister, she was in grade 4, wasn't able to read yet, and then there was a lice epidemic and all kinds of reasons for my mom to pull her out, and sat down with me and tried to explain what this weird venture was that they were going to do. And she kept waiting for me to get worried about Lynn's social life or something like that. And I was just so jealous. Like, the idea of not going to school was a really exciting thing for me. So it's please bring me. I want to do this too. And it was good timing for me. I mean, school had been something that I had in many ways enjoyed up until I don't know, maybe grade 6 or 7, something like that. I did well in school, learned a fair amount, but grade 7, all of a sudden, as I'm sure everyone who's ever grown up or existed is aware of, things get a little different. Being smart doesn't matter so much anymore. Not wearing jogging pants to school is really important. Like, really dumb things that I didn't want to be a part of anymore. So I was pretty excited to leave. Not being aware at all of the other positive things that I would gain from that. One of them largely being, I started drawing when I was, right around when I was learning to walk. Like, it was the first thing that I learned how to do. And one of the only things that I learned how to do really well, at least up until that point. So I always knew that I wanted to utilize that skill that I'd been developing for my whole life. But I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have any examples. Everyone in my family were and are tradespeople. And I knew that that just wasn't the thing for me. It wasn't going to work for me. And I was able to jump right away into pursuing art as a viable career. By the time I was 16, it was great because the curriculum was set up. I'd get credit for starting a business. So I was selling art in trade shows, in some shops, in some local galleries. This is in Fort McMurray. I was probably making as good of a living as I am now, maybe better. It was going really well, and I learned so much during that period. One of the most important things that I learned, though, came during a bit of a creative crisis, a couple years into that experience that lasted for a year and a half or something, where I quit drawing altogether, wasn't interested, dropped my business, everything was over, because I jumped into it too seriously, too soon, and I didn't know who I was as a person, who I was as an artist. So I was taking on a lot of clients that were just completely uninspiring and unnecessary. Just taking on work because I felt like I had to take on work, and you don't always have to do that. So it took me a long time to even approach drawing again. I should have mentioned at the start, I'm a professional illustrator. I don't just sit and draw pictures all day. I do, but I get paid for it. And I got into that anyway, when I quit drawing, I did 2 attempted stints at a college in southern Alberta, which made me kind of nervous when Ken, or Mark actually first approached me about speaking to everyone about post-secondary education and my experience as a homeschooler. I thought, well, Mark, I'm not a very good example. I'm a 2-time college dropout that never graduated. But it was while I was at school that I realized that homeschooling had given me a skill set that made school completely unnecessary for me. For a lot of people, depending on trades and skill sets and stuff, I'm sure that it's very important. But I'd been drawing since I was before 1. I taught myself, and then through homeschooling, I learned very well how to teach myself anything I wanted to do. And so paying thousands and thousands of dollars to sit in classrooms and do homework and all of these things that I had completely eradicated from my life. And the idea of doing all of that and then coming out without a job, completely in debt, it just seemed ludicrous to me. So I dropped out, and then a friend of mine went to college who I hadn't seen in a long time. He was like, "Oh, you should come back, we'll hang out." You know, like college is a real hangout time or something. So I went again and just thought, no, this was a really bad decision, knowing that I had made a decision for myself not to be a part of that. So I dropped out again, which was great because all of the money that I would have put into the rest of my career, or all of the like credit and debt and everything that I would have put into that scholastic career, I was able to inject into building a business of my own. And a lot of that money and debt just is living in poverty as you're waiting to, like, this thing, and I know it's going to work, I know it's going to work, it has to. It's the only thing that I've ever wanted. And it just, you know, started to work out. I am in the process of owning a house, so that'll be, 20, 30, 40 years. But I'm living in it anyway. And things are going really well. And illustration has been a way for me to take the skill set that I developed and apply that as a trade. So it's not a really exciting artistic endeavor where I'm getting to express myself or any of those things. But it allows me to use the thing that I'm really good at and pay the bills so that I can spend most of my day is doing stuff that doesn't pay. Illustration pays well enough, and the work's really sporadic, that I'm able to spend the rest of my time working on paintings for gallery shows, of which I've had the happy time of being a part of a number of them in the last couple of years. And I front 2 bands. Music is another really important thing for me that I developed or found a love for when I had quit drawing and needed an outlet. But anyway, I don't know. I'm rambling now. But so I'm an illustrator. I'm 31. I was homeschooled, and things is okay. Thanks. Should I answer some questions? Or? Okay, we'll start here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, it had nothing to do with art at all, because I had quit art at that point. I was never going to draw again. But I was really in love with music, so I went to school for music. And through that, realized that not only was drawing something that I was good at and should get back into, and lucrative enough that I had paid for both of those semesters out of selling art, but I also realized that the love that I had with music was not the kind of thing that could be taught. I don't have the kind of brain that understands written music. making music comes out of a different place for me, and within the school structure, I was not a musician, and was told that flat out. You're not a musician. And I thought, well, yeah, I am. So that was another good reason to leave. But it had nothing to do with art. No, not at all. If anything, it made me a lot more bullheaded about making music my way. Oh, that's kind of hard for me to say, because I was so wrapped up in it. It was just the only thing that I did. Anytime there was a break from any activity, if I was, attempting poorly to help my dad with something as a toddler or whatever, every time I'd stop doing anything, I would be drawing. So the only thing that I would say is just do it all of the time. Find what you love and always do it, because everything that I learned about drawing, I mean, sure, I was the artist in the family, so my aunts would always give me these books about drawing and stuff, and they were not helpful at all, because they're just, it's a very mathematical approach to drawing that I had already gotten past that point. And I was teaching myself new things and exploring new things. So to be ahead of the curve, which I am comfortable finally, I can have the confidence to say that in this one thing I am. To get to that point, you have to do it just all of the time. Christian Bach, who's an author, a Canadian author, he said once that anyone can do anything if he's a math genius, and I forget how many, he said it takes 90,000 hours to become a genius at anything. You don't have to be predisposed, you don't have to have the talent, you just have to devote, I think it's something like that, it's ridiculous, 90,000 hours. And it's true. Whether I have the talent or not, I don't know, because I've been doing it so long, I've got no choice but to be good at it. That's the only advice I have. You've had your head up for a while. I mostly do articles for magazines. I'll illustrate an article. I work with clients for various things, sometimes logo work. There's so many options, but mostly I do article accompaniment, illustration, and though most of the clients that I work with are pretty small and reliable, some of the bigger names, I did Outdoor Life, which is a popular outdoors magazine. New York Times was an exciting one this year. Things of that nature. It's almost always accompanying an article. I think there's something to that. Okay, right. In order to be a good figurative artist, you've been told that you need to work off of nudes and live nudes. That's the assumption that was offered to you. I don't know that that's necessarily true. I think that there's a benefit from it, but there's no rule book. There's no one with something as abstract and ridiculous as art. There's no way to say this is how you do it. This is how you get good at it, other than just do it all the time. I mostly do figurative work, mostly portraiture, but my understanding of the body is fairly solid, and I've never worked with a live nude model. I've worked off of a lot of the notebooks of Leonardo and Michelangelo, and but you gotta go somewhere. I mean, they went not off of live models, but off of dead models. So it wherever works. So. Right. How do you get your name out as a insulated basement dwelling artist? A lot of it was honestly luck at the outset for me. I had, as I had said, I'd quit drawing, and then my getting back into it took a lot of years of very tentative, I'm gonna do this for me, I'm gonna love it, and I'm just gonna do it for me. I moved to Edmonton during that period, met a guy who was an illustrator, was blown away at how well you could do as an illustrator. He kept grabbing me by the shirt, being like, I make dad money drawing pictures, you gotta get into this. But I was really hesitant. I didn't want to get into it. So it was really lucky at the outset, because he was so busy. He started turning clients down and saying, well, I'm too busy, but call this guy, he's another illustrator in town. And I'd get these calls, and be like, what are you talking about? I have to work? What? But so that got me into it. And anyone can really do that. Since then, I've met many illustrators who haven't had that lucky break. And the best way that we've figured out to get work, or one of the best ways, is to make a run of postcards. Get an image you're proud of, have that right on the front, have all of your information on the back, get a list of art directors from across the country, either just going through magazines and compiling it, doing research. We've worked together, me and a couple other illustrators have worked together on a list that we use, and we just send these things out. Because with email and stuff, people are inundated so much with that kind of thing, and this was a way to think outside the box a little bit, where a guy comes into an office and it's not in an envelope, it's just sitting there on his desk, and if he likes it, he might turn it over. And so you might get 1 or 2% of all of the postcards that you send out get work back, but that's the best way. And then you have to have like a website and things like that for people to go to. But yeah, luck, and then militant perseverance, and then after that, getting our names out. We have little conferences and stuff, really small things, like 15 people getting together and talking about drawing pictures. But it's good. It keeps you going. There wasn't, no. I had the good fortune of the people that introduced us to the idea of homeschoolers. Before we were homeschooling, I became best friends with the son of the family. So it was great. It didn't matter that there was a bunch of them. I had, my best friend was in the same boat. A year later, he decided to go to high school. He had been homeschooled his whole life, and so as soon as I started, he was out. But it was okay, because I was really involved in our church, had youth groups and all kinds of things, so I had a lot of time with people anyway, and I don't know. There wasn't a lot, and I don't think it was that negative of a thing for me. But I like being alone, so it's okay. Does that help? Yeah, for sure. This year has been really exciting. I've been. Oh, right. Will my passion overshadow in the future my lucrative trades like income or whatever? I don't want to use trade as a bad thing, but you know what I mean. I hope. Yes, I think that is definitely in the near future. This year has been great. I've had a couple solo exhibitions in my life, but this was the first one since things shifted dramatically in my mind as far as being serious about art, what it means to me on a personal level, that it's not just pretty things or whatever. And opening night, I sold every piece in the gallery. After that, every piece but one, I sold the next one like 2 days later or something. And then I got to be a part of a really huge huge numbers-wise. And the exposure was really fantastic. A group show in Vancouver. I have absolutely this year already, I've made more money through selling things that I love than I have through illustrative work. And then music on top of that, which the industry is changing. And having played music for 10 years, I don't think you can make money playing music anymore. I think the world is different, unless you're part of like a worship band or cover bands or something like that. But playing original music in clubs is, unless you are real lucky, I don't think an amount of work is going to make a difference. But I make enough with all of those things that I might not have to do illustration anymore soon. Thanks very much.